social. We've been doing this for over a decade with our agency, and time again with either individual clients or businesses, we've seen over and over that when people bring themselves to social, they get more engagement, period. So that's why I think this is the direction we need to go. And this is how we need to help people be more themselves on social media. Welcome to the Authentically Social Podcast. My name's Corey Perlman, and I'm here with my wife, Jessica Perlman. In the past, it was perfectly acceptable to pay no attention to what's going on behind the curtain. But today, that's exactly what your audience wants to see. This podcast unpacks tried and true principles to put culture, community, and connection at the core of your digital strategy. Let's get going.
Okay, well,
so you wanted
just casual conversation.
Yeah, you wanted to do this. Why did you want to do this?
Okay, I thought that this would be a good opportunity, and what we need to do is we needed to create a safe, open space to collect all the information about being authentically social. And we tried to put it down on paper and you spent nights, I spent mornings writing. And it just feels like in this way, in a comfortable conversational setting, that you could talk freely about why you want to write the book Authentically Social, what are the key points in the book, and kind of bring all the information and the thoughts out of your head into the microphone and then to the book. And you're stuck. We said that if you crossed your legs, your feet would show.
But we also said that this is authentic. So I have socks on right now and no shoes. So that should say, and people can't hear me. Yeah. So that's the other thing is, we're not super good at technology. So we have one microphone we share between the two of us, but that's okay too. Because better to be on here, as you guys have heard me say over and over again, than to be perfect. So I purposely wanted to show you my socks because I'm living the authentic life. We're sitting at home. It's cold outside. I haven't been outside yet. So therefore, now you see me with my socks on. But I think that, to answer your question, it's been a long road over the past 7 or 8 years deciding on what the next, meaningful enough content was to actually spend the time creating a book or whatever this ends up being that we feel like is worthy of getting out there to people. And we've been going back and forth and doing lots of different things, but I talk about positive taps, like what the universe tells you to go after. Stop trying to push your own agenda, but what the universe is asking for. And in my little world, our little world, what continues to come back is authentically social. It's like people want to know out there on social media with their content, should they be themselves? Should they, dress up in a certain way? Is it perfection or is it more transparency, vulnerability, authenticity, all that? And as much as I've at times, I think, pushed myself away from talking about that, it just keeps coming back. And so there's lots of examples out there that I've seen, good and bad, you too. And we've also seen the engagement metrics show that people want more authentic content than, more commercial, what do you call it? Prefabricated. Thank you. That kind of content. It just doesn't play as well out on social. We've been doing this for over a decade with our agency, and time again with either individual clients or businesses, we've seen over and over that when people bring themselves to social, they get more engagement, period. So that's why I think this is the direction we need to go. And this is how we need to help people be more themselves on social media.
Yeah. And I think that brands are looking for a little bit of more of that as well. I think like from a brand company perspective, they're looking for how to bring more authenticity into their social media in order to relate to their audience. And so, how can they connect and relate to their audience and engage with them and continue to give them what they're looking for, but in like a very real way. And I think some of the larger brands, that's difficult to do because they might not be as in touch, with their customers. And this is an opportunity for them to just like reevaluate or look at kind of the work that they're doing right now, and then what they could do differently to bring forward just kind of the real company, the real values, the real standards behind their mission, behind what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think. So my role in this is really just to be the interviewer, is to pull and discuss the questions, talk about the different topic areas. It's my opportunity to be able to have Corey share all the valuable information and knowledge that he has, pull it out of him, and then produce from there.
I think, again, with going the authentic route, it's been hard to write this time around than it has been in the past. I don't know what that core reason is. I think part of it is I have more distractions today than I've ever had before, and taking time away from the family and stuff like that to write or whatnot. But there's also I just don't want to do it as much. So I think this has just been a way for us to try to just pull out some of that content. I also recognize that these type of things, I don't like watching stuff that just people are just talking and, they just think that they're so interesting that they could talk for hours on end. 2 cardinals just showed up in the tree. It's really beautiful. That's enough. I think that, value is to be paramount to these things, that if anybody's watching or listening, that it's our job to make sure that it was worth their time. So that being said, I think that I want to share, if it's okay with you, a couple of ways that folks can start to figure out how to be more authentic and transparent. And also in a way that doesn't obviously create a full-time job for people, because I recognize that social is a pain in the butt, creating content's a pain in the butt. And now I'm asking you to do it more authentically. So, to essentially answer that question, I think that part of what I tell folks is, instead of trying to pick a time and then dreading that time and then having that time and sitting down and like we were doing, just trying to make it so perfect and all that, I think more of when you're in the moment and when you're feeling it, do it. So for example, you might be on the road. You might have had a client meeting. You might have just had a staff meeting and a question came up or a topic came up that you thought would be of value to your audience. Don't wait. Jump on camera real quick, get your little tripod out, or jump on your computer if you're more of a writer, and just write those thoughts down at that moment and share at the moment, as opposed to trying to schedule a certain time that you need to be creative or come up with something valuable. I remember a certain instance last year where I was shooting a video on Clips, this tool that I love so much that automatically puts captions below a video. I was wearing a hat. I was wearing a t-shirt, certainly was not video ready in my own little world. But I thought to myself, man, other people could really use this tool. Maybe one day I'll shoot that video. And then I was like, no, that's not, do it now or you're not going to do it. So I walked outside and the sun's shining on me. I'm blinded, or whatever. But I shot the video and I really hesitated posting it, to be candid with you. I was like, this wasn't me, man. I just did not feel myself. But maybe it was you, but some sort of motivation pushed me to post it. And it was my most engaged post that I had of that entire year. And I show it now in every stage that I'm ever on. The dude with the hat, the sun shining in his face and all that, to show people that I pushed through it. I shared the valuable content because it was valuable. People watched it and enjoyed it. And it didn't matter what I necessarily was wearing that day or if I hadn't shaved or whatever the case may be. So I think that for me was a real kind of aha moment, that when we're feeling it, we got to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you can tell sometimes on social when people are trying so hard to like show up in a certain way and it's not real and it's not authentic. I think the best kind of content is whenever you can just be true, like you said, on the spot, in the moment. You've got valuable information to share, and whatever medium you pick to share it, if it's valuable content, it will still do well.
There was another, just real quick, just in this sort of setting the stage of why we did this. I do want to recognize a certain time that in the beginning of social, I feel like we were all authentic. Like that was what was cool. I look back, if you guys look at those memories that we had from way back, it said, I am, sitting here with my wife eating turkey sandwiches, like it was just like very, very raw. And then so was Twitter. Twitter was such a cool place for a while. It was just like these authentic conversations and nobody was selling anything or whatever. And then LinkedIn was super awesome for a while. And it was just business people meeting each other. And then, along came the sales and the spam and all that. And so the pendulum sort of swung to this artificial, salesy, just a terrible world that none of us like. And then I noticed TV shows. So we and I were watching This Is Us, which we love this show. And we're watching this show. And of course, you guys probably all know, and we're like crying. And this is like this amazing moment. Like we're totally in it. Then all of a sudden at the bottom of the screen, it says, share this moment, like telling us that this is the moment that you should go out and make this a social, experience for your audience. And I was so annoyed by that this show was trying to force a social moment, or an authentic moment. And they ruined it for me. And that was just a reminder to me. It's like, gosh, that's not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to naturally happen. It's supposed to, we see a movie that we love, and then we naturally go out to social and we say, hey, friends, this is awesome. I love this. I want you to watch it too. But it feels yucky when the company or the artist tells us to do so. It just feels weird. Does that make sense?
No, for sure. And I also think you don't like to be told what to do.
I don't. Yes,
so you want to have your own formed opinion about that. But yeah, it's like if it triggers you to share it, especially with your close friends or family or whoever your network is on social, like it should be triggered by you, not like pushed by someone else.
It just doesn't work that way, I feel like. And I could be wrong, NBC or whatever, but I doubt that made a huge difference that people are machines or robots. Oh, this is the time to go share, a very heartfelt, emotional moment. So it was like literally the opposite, I feel like, of what should be done with Authentically Social. It should be a natural response to something that moved you, and to share something and not be told to do that. So that was just a moment in time. I remember saying, this is not what I feel like social media was supposed to be about and how this was supposed to work. So that was just a random story example of that.
Yeah. And I think that is an important part of what we're going to be sharing here is like some real world examples, like in the real world, what have we seen? Or, we've been in the business of social media for a long time, over a decade. And we have worked with clients and businesses. And so we'd love to share those best practices and examples as well as real world examples. Like we are doing these for our clients. We are working on this particular thing for this particular brand. So it's an opportunity to say, like, here's what we know. We can show you how to do it, and then you can go do it yourself.
Yeah. So the other thing that I would say has come from a lot of conversations and how we're going to present this to you is through, for lack of a better term, like mantras, like things that over the years I have said on stage or felt or whatever that I'm putting down into this material, into this book, into this video cast, whatever it's going to be. And I want to kind of explore some of those if you're okay with it and just sort of talk through what they mean. You're going to see them. I'm hoping that you're going to have them next to your computer so that or your phone, so that when you go to create content that you think through these things so that we are not there. There's these two birds that I often talk about. It's the squawking parrot and the wise owl. The squawking parrot is a sales machine that constantly regurgitates the same thing over and over again and annoys and frustrates people to death. Rah, 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 rah. But no offense to parrots, but that's just the bird that kind of showed up to me. And then the wise owl is the complete opposite. It also, in this metaphor, shows up on the other side of your shoulder. And instead of squawking about themselves and about their services and products, they offer wisdom. That's what the owl does, right? They share wisdom, value. They help. They are a resource, a trusted resource throughout the experience, from when you're researching a potential service or product all the way to when you've decided to buy. And that owl sits there, and the audience, the people that have that owl sitting on their shoulder, want them to be there. They are a guide to them. They're a value to them. And so that's the bird that I want all of us to be. I want us to be the wise owl, not the squawking parrot.
I think that, like Corey said in the beginning, where he was having a little bit of like a mental block for writing the book, if we reflect back on the past 2 books that you've written, I've been pregnant during both the writings of those books. So we always joke, is the book going to come first or the baby, kind of thing. So we love our 2 children, but we are not expecting any others. We are done having babies. So there's no announcement here. I'm sorry. But I do think that sometimes when you have like a goal you're working towards, like I was in the creative process of creating life, and you were in the creative process of creating the book. And I think that being fueled by those things was an opportunity for you to put some of your words and thoughts down on paper. So this is our opportunity now to kind of recreate that moment for you and allow Corey an opportunity to share what he's learned, what he's gathered, and a lot of what he has experienced as he's presented and at conferences around the world, on stage over the years. So we hope that you enjoy this format and at the same time have some valuable information that you can take away and apply today to your business, company, industry. Anything else to close us out?
Nope.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We're over here giving you a digital high five for completing another episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to take a screen grab and share it across your social media. Don't forget to tag us at Corey Perlman Speaks. I hope we can stay connected by following each other, as we are excited to see more of your social media journey.